Hey, everybody, what you're feeling right now is not random and it's not wasted. It may feel heavy, confusing, even overwhelming, but there is purpose embedded in it. Emotions are not just reactions, they are signals, they are indicators that something within you is shifting, stretching, or asking to be acknowledged. The discomfort you feel is not here to break you, it is here to reveal you. There are moments in life when everything seems uncertain. You look around and the clarity you once had feels distant. Plans that once made sense now feel shaky. People you trusted may have disappointed you. Doors you expected to open have remained closed. In those moments, it's easy to question yourself, your path, your worth. But what if the very confusion you're experiencing is not a setback, but a setup for deeper alignment? Sometimes life disrupts your comfort not to punish you, but to protect you from staying the same. Growth rarely feels comfortable. Expansion often begins with pressure, just like a seed buried underground cannot see the light while it is breaking open. You may not immediately see the results of what you're going through, but beneath the surface, something is happening. Roots are forming. Strength is being developed. Identity is being reshaped. The emotions you're feeling right now are not signs of weakness. They are signs of humanity, sadness, frustration, anxiety, even fear. They all carry information. They tell you what matters to you, what you've been holding onto, what you may need to release, and where healing is required. Ignoring those feelings doesn't make them disappear. Listening to them, however, allows you to understand yourself on a deeper level. There is a tendency to rush past discomfort, to distract yourself, to pretend everything is fine. But avoidance delays transformation. When you sit with what you feel, you begin to uncover layers of yourself that were previously hidden. You start to recognize patterns, beliefs, and expectations that may no longer serve you. In that awareness, you gain the ability to choose differently. Not every moment in your life will make sense while you are living it. Some experiences only reveal their meaning with time. What feels like loss today may later be understood as redirection. What feels like rejection may later be recognized as protection. What feels like delay may actually be divine timing, aligning you with something better suited for who you are becoming. You are not behind, you are not stuck. You are in process. In a world that constantly pushes for quick results and visible success, it's easy to measure your progress by external achievements, but internal growth doesn't always show up immediately on the outside. There are battles fought quietly within your mind, shifts happening in your perspective, and emotional healing taking place beneath the surface. These are just as important as any visible accomplishment. What you're feeling may be the result of something ending, something changing, or something beginning to take form. Endings can feel like loss, but they also create space. Space for new ideas, new relationships, new opportunities, and new versions of yourself that you haven't yet met. Without endings, there would be no room for beginnings. Allow yourself to feel without judgment. You don't have to rush to fix everything. You don't have to have all the answers right now. Begins, sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is simply acknowledge what's happening within you. Give yourself permission to be where you are, even if it's not where you expect it to be. There is strength in sitting with your emotions instead of running from them. There is courage in being honest about how you feel, even when it's uncomfortable. And there is wisdom in recognizing that your current state is temporary, not permanent. What you feel today is shaping how you will understand tomorrow. The lessons you're learning in this moment are equipping you with insight you didn't have before. You are developing emotional resilience, deeper awareness, and a stronger sense of self. These are qualities that cannot be rushed. They are cultivated through experience. Even in moments of doubt, there is something within you that continues to move forward. That inner drive, that quiet voice, that subtle persistence is still there, even if it feels faint at times. The fact that you are still here, still seeking, still trying, is evidence that you have not given up, even if you feel tired. You may not always feel strong, but strength is not defined by constant confidence. Strength is shown in your ability to keep going when things are unclear, to keep believing when outcomes are uncertain, and to keep showing up for yourself despite what you feel. There is purpose in your emotional journey. It is not just about reaching a destination, but about who you become along the way. The way you process your experiences, the way you respond to challenges, the way you respond to challenges, the way you grow through discomfort, all of it contributes to shaping your character. What you're feeling right now may be calling your attention inward. It may be asking you to reflect, to realign, to release, or to rebuild. Instead of resisting that call, consider what it might be teaching you. Sometimes clarity doesn't come from changing your environment, but from understanding yourself within it. You are allowed to evolve. You are allowed to outgrow versions of yourself that once felt familiar. You are allowed to change your mind, your direction, your expectations. Growth often requires letting go of who you were in order to step into who you are becoming. The emotions you experience are part of that evolution. They are not obstacles, they are part of the path. When you begin to see them as tools rather than burdens, your relationship with them shifts. Instead of asking, "Why am I feeling this way?" you begin to ask, "What is this showing me?" In that shift, you move from confusion to curiosity, from resistance to understanding. And in that understanding, you begin to find peace, not because everything around you has changed, but because your perception of it has. You don't have to suppress what you feel to be strong. True strength includes honesty with yourself. It includes acknowledging your emotions, processing them, and allowing them to move through you instead of getting stuck inside you. What you feel right now is part of a larger story that is still unfolding. It is one chapter, not the entire book. And even if this chapter feels difficult, it is not without meaning. It is contributing to a narrative that is building towards something more complete, more aligned, more reflective of who you truly are. There is growth in the discomfort. There is insight in the confusion. There is direction in the emotions that you may not fully understand yet. And even though it may not feel like it in the moment, you are being shaped by everything you are going through. So instead of resisting what you feel, allow it to guide you. Instead of judging yourself for it, observe it. Instead of rushing past it, sit with it long enough to learn from it. What you discover within yourself during this time will stay with you far beyond this moment, influencing how you move forward, how you make decisions, and how you understand your own resilience. What you're feeling right now is not something to dismiss or minimize. It is not random noise in your mind or unnecessary heaviness sitting in your chest. Every emotion that rises within you is carrying information, and that information is trying to reach you, not harm you. When you begin to understand emotions as signals rather than problems, you shift the way you relate to yourself. Instead of fighting what you feel, you begin to listen, and in that listening, awareness begins to grow. Emotions are often the first indicators that something in your life is changing or needs attention. Sadness might point to a loss or a need for healing. Anxiety might be signaling uncertainty or a lack of control over something important to you. Frustration can reveal boundaries that have been crossed or expectations that have not been met. Even moments of overwhelm can indicate that you have been carrying more than you were meant to handle alone. These feelings are not your enemies, they are messengers. When you ignore them, you silence valuable insight. When you silence valuable insight, when you acknowledge them, you give yourself the opportunity to understand what is happening beneath the surface. There is a natural instinct to label certain emotions as negative and others as positive, but in reality, every emotion has a role. Just like physical pain alerts you to an injury in your body, emotional discomfort alerts you to something within your internal world that requires attention. Without that signal, you might continue in patterns, relationships, or environments that are not aligned with your well-being. The discomfort you feel is not there to trap you. It is there to guide you toward clarity. When you begin to pay attention to what you feel, you also begin to notice patterns. You may realize that certain situations consistently trigger similar emotions. That repetition is not accidental. It is an invitation to look deeper into your responses, your beat. Beliefs and your experiences, emotions can uncover unresolved wounds, unmet needs, or long-standing habits of thinking that influence how you interpret your reality. By becoming aware of these patterns, you gain the ability to respond differently instead of reacting automatically. Listening to your emotions also requires honesty. It asks you to pause and admit what is truly happening inside of you without filtering or suppressing it. This level of honesty is not always comfortable because it removes the distractions we often use to avoid facing ourselves. However, it is in that raw honesty that real understanding begins to form. When you acknowledge what you feel without judgment, you create space for acceptance, and acceptance is the foundation for meaningful change. Ignoring emotions does not make them disappear. They often resurface in different ways, sometimes more intensely than before. Unprocessed emotions can influence your thoughts, your decisions, and even your relationships. Your decisions and even your relationships. They can create tension within you that you may not fully understand but still feel. By contrast, when you allow yourself to process emotions, you reduce their intensity and gain clarity. You begin to see them for what they are rather than being overwhelmed by them. There is also value in recognizing that emotions are temporary. And if what you feel in one moment does not define your entire identity or your future, emotions rise, peak, and eventually pass when they are acknowledged and processed. Understanding this helps you avoid becoming attached to a feeling as if it is permanent. Even the most intense emotions will shift with time and awareness. This perspective allows you to hold space for your feelings without becoming consumed by them. At the same time, emotions can serve as a compass. They can guide you toward what aligns with your values and away from what does not. If something consistently makes you feel uneasy, it may be worth examining why that feeling persists. If something brings a sense of peace or fulfillment, it may indicate alignment with your deeper self. By paying attention to these internal cues, you begin to make decisions that are more in tune with who you are rather than what external pressures suggest. Understanding emotions as signals also encourages self-compassion. Instead of criticizing yourself for feeling a certain way, you begin to approach yourself with curiosity and care. You recognize that your emotional responses are shaped by your experiences, your environment, and your current state of mind. This understanding reduces self-judgment and allows you to treat yourself with the same patience you would offer to someone else navigating a difficult moment. As you continue to observe your emotions, you may notice that some of them are connected to unmet needs. These needs could be emotional, physical, or psychological. For example, feelings of loneliness might point to a need for connection. Feelings of exhaustion might indicate a need for rest. Feelings of frustration might highlight a need for clarity or direction. When you identify the underlying need behind an emotion, you can take steps to address it more effectively instead of only reacting to the surface feeling. Emotions also play a role in personal growth. They challenge you to expand your understanding of yourself and your environment. Through emotional experiences, you develop resilience, patience, and awareness. You learn how to navigate uncertainty, how to sit with discomfort, and how to find balance within yourself. These lessons are not always comfortable, but they are valuable in shaping your ability to handle future situations with greater confidence. There may be moments when emotions feel overwhelming, and in those moments, it can be tempting to shut down or distract yourself. However, even in those instances, gently returning to awareness can make a difference. You do not need to solve everything at once. Sometimes simply acknowledging, I am feeling this way right now, is enough to begin the process of understanding. Awareness is the first step toward clarity, and clarity allows you to move forward with intention rather than confusion. Over time, developing a relationship with your emotions becomes a skill. It requires practice, patience, and willingness to stay present with yourself. The more you engage with your emotions rather than avoid them, the more familiar you become with your internal world. This familiar internal world, this familiar intelligence, which supports better decision-making, healthier relationships, and a stronger sense of self. When emotions are seen as signals, they lose their power to control you and instead become tools that support your growth. They provide insight into what is happening within you and around you, helping you navigate life with greater awareness. By paying attention to these signals, you move from reacting unconsciously to responding consciously. And that shift allows you to engage with your experiences in a more grounded and intentional way. Discomfort often arrives in life without warning, and in many cases, it is misunderstood as something negative that needs to be escaped as quickly as possible. However, when you look closely at moments of uncertainty, emotional strain, or internal tension, you begin to realize that these experiences are not random interruptions. They are often indicators that something within you is being reshaped. Growth does not usually announce itself with comfort and clarity. Instead, it tends to emerge through situations that challenge your current understanding of yourself and your surroundings. When your environment no longer feels familiar, or when situations that once felt stable begin to feel unstable, it can create a sense of imbalance. That imbalance is not necessarily a sign that something is going wrong. It can be a sign that you are outgrowing previous limits. J. Us like physical growth requires stretching beyond what is comfortable. Emotional and mental growth requires you to step into unfamiliar territory. That unfamiliar territory can feel unsettling, but it is often where expansion begins. There are times when life removes certain supports that you have grown used to. These supports could be people, routines, beliefs, or expectations that once provided a sense of certainty. When they are no longer present, it can create a void that feels difficult to navigate. In that void, you are invited to rely more on your inner strength rather than external reassurance. This transition can feel like loss, but it also creates an opportunity to develop independence, resilience, and self-trust in ways that were not previously required. Growth often involves letting go of identities or versions of yourself that were built in earlier phases of your life. The person you were in the past may have been shaped by specific circumstances, environments, or limitations. As those conditions change, holding on to those older versions of yourself can create friction. Discomfort arises when you are in the process of releasing what no longer aligns with who you are becoming. That tension is part of the transformation, even if it feels uncertain or uncomfortable in the moment. Uncertainty itself is one of the most common sources of discomfort. When outcomes are unclear and the path ahead is not fully visible, the mind tends to seek control by trying to predict or manage every possible outcome. However, not everything in life can be predicted or controlled. Learning to navigate uncertainty requires a different kind of strength, one that is rooted in trust, patience, and adaptability. As you move through uncertain situations, you develop the ability to stay present without needing immediate answers, which strengthens your capacity to handle future challenges with more stability. In moments of discomfort, your reactions often reveal more about your internal state than the situation itself. How you respond to change, pressure, or unexpected circumstances reflects your current level of emotional development. These responses are not fixed. They can evolve over time as you gain more experience and awareness. Discomfort acts as a mirror, showing you areas where you may need to grow, adjust, or reframe your perspective. By observing your reactions, you gain insight into patterns that may have gone unnoticed in more comfortable conditions. There is also a natural tendency to resist discomfort because it feels unfamiliar or challenging. This resistance can manifest as avoidance, distraction, or denial. While these responses may provide temporary relief, they often delay the process of growth. When you consistently avoid discomfort, you limit your exposure to experiences that could expand your understanding and capabilities. Facing discomfort directly, on the other hand, allows you to build tolerance and familiarity with situations that once felt overwhelming. Discomfort also plays a role in strengthening emotional endurance. Just as physical exercise places stress on the body to build strength over time, emotional challenges place stress on your internal system to build resilience. Each time you navigate a difficult situation, you develop a greater capacity to handle similar or even more complex situations in the future. This gradual strengthening process may not be immediately visible, but over time it becomes evident in how you respond to adversity with increased stability and confidence. Another important aspect of discomfort is its ability to highlight areas of misalignment. When something in your life consistently produces feelings of tension or unease, it may be an indication that it does not align with your values, needs, or direction. Rather than viewing this discomfort as something to suppress, it can be viewed as feedback. This feedback can guide you toward making adjustments, whether that involves changing your approach, setting boundaries, or reevaluating your priorities. Discomfort can also encourage introspection. In moments where external distractions are reduced, you are often left with your thoughts and feelings in a more direct way. This creates an opportunity to reflect on your beliefs, habits, and assumptions. Through introspection, you can identify which aspects of your mindset support your growth and which ones may be limiting your progress. This process of self-examination is not always comfortable, but it is essential for meaningful development. As you move through periods of discomfort, patience becomes an important quality. Growth does not happen instantly, and the process of adaptation takes time. There may be moments where progress feels slow or unclear, but that does not mean that growth is not occurring. Subtle changes in your thinking, behavior, and emotional responses are often signs that transformation is taking place beneath the surface. Remaining patient with yourself during these phases allows the process to unfold without unnecessary pressure. Discomfort also has a way of revealing strengths that may not have been fully recognized before. In challenging situations, you may discover qualities such as persistence, adaptability, problem solving, and inner calm that were not as apparent during more stable periods. These strengths are often developed through experience rather than theory. By navigating discomfort, you gain practical insight into your own capabilities and limitations, which contributes to a more grounded sense of confidence. It is also important to recognize that discomfort is not meant to be permanent. It is a temporary phase that accompanies Payne's transition and development. While it may feel intense at times, it serves a purpose within a larger process. As you move through it, the intensity gradually decreases as you adjust to new circumstances or perspectives. This transition allows you to integrate what you have learned and apply it in a more stable and balanced way moving forward. In many cases, discomfort acts as a bridge between where you are and where you are heading. It exists in the space between familiarity and transformation, between stability and growth. Without this bridge, movement from one stage to another would not be possible. Although it may feel challenging to walk through that space, it is a necessary part of progression. Everything you are experiencing right now is contributing to a version of you that is still in progress, even if you cannot fully see it yet. Life has a way of shaping individuals through moments that test their understanding, their patience, and their sense of direction. Each experience you encounter, whether it feels positive or challenging, becomes part of a larger process that is steadily influencing who you are becoming. This process is not always linear, and it does not always follow the timeline you expect, but it is consistent in its purpose of shaping your character, your mindset, and your emotional depth. There are moments when you may feel as though you are not moving forward, especially when circumstances appear stagnant or unclear. However, progress is not always measured by visible achievements or immediate results. Much of personal development happens internally through shifts in perspective, changes in behavior, and increased awareness of your thoughts and emotions. These internal changes are often subtle, but over time, they create a foundation that supports more visible growth. The way you think today, the way you respond to challenges, and the way you interpret situations are all being influenced by your current experiences. As you navigate through different phases of life, you begin to collect lessons that cannot always be learned through instruction alone. Some insights only come through direct experience, especially when you are faced with uncertainty, disappointment, or unexpected outcomes. These moments may feel difficult at the time, but they often provide clarity that reshapes your understanding of yourself and the world around you. Through these experiences, you develop a deeper awareness of your strengths, your limitations, and the areas where you can continue to grow. Your current experiences are also contributing to the development of resilience. Resilience is not something that appears instantly. It is built gradually through repeated exposure to challenges and the effort required to navigate them. Each time you face a situation that tests your emotional or mental strength, you are given an opportunity to respond, adapt, and learn. Over time, these repeated experiences strengthen your ability to remain steady in the face of difficulty, allowing you to approach future situations with greater confidence and composure. In addition to resilience, your experiences are shaping your self-awareness. As you encounter different situations, you begin to notice how you react, what triggers certain emotions, and what patterns emerge in your behavior. This awareness allows you to understand yourself more clearly, including your motivations, your fears, and your expectations. With this understanding, you gain the ability to make more intentional choices rather than reacting automatically to circumstances. Self-awareness becomes a tool that helps you navigate life with greater clarity and purpose. There is also a sense of identity that evolves through what you experience. The way you see yourself is influenced by the situations you go through and how you interpret them. As you face challenges and overcome obstacles, your perception of your own capabilities begins to shift. You start to recognize that you are capable of handling more than you may have initially believed. This gradual shift in identity is not always immediate, but it becomes more solidified as you continue to move through experiences that require you to step outside of your comfort zone. Your experiences are not isolated events. They are interconnected parts of a larger narrative that is continuously unfolding. Each situation builds upon the previous one, creating a chain of learning and development. Even experiences that seem unrelated at first can later reveal connections that contribute to a broader understanding. This interconnectedness highlights the importance of paying attention to your journey as a whole, rather than focusing only on individual moments in isolation. As you move through different phases, you may also notice that your priorities begin to change. What once seemed important may no longer hold the same significance, and new values may begin to take shape. This shift in priorities is a natural part of growth as your experiences influence what you consider meaningful and worth investing your time and energy in. These changes are often gradual, but they reflect an ongoing alignment between who you are and how you choose to live. The experiences you are going through also contribute to your ability to empathize with others. When you face challenges, you develop a deeper understanding of what it feels like to navigate difficult situations. This understanding allows you to relate to others who may be experiencing similar circumstances. Empathy grows through lived experience, and it enhances your ability to connect with people on a more genuine level. It also encourages a sense of compassion, both toward yourself and toward others who are on their own journeys. There are times when the purpose of an experience is not immediately clear. In those moments, it can feel as though you are moving without direction or clarity. However, clarity often emerges after reflection. As time passes, you begin to see how certain events contributed to your development in ways that were not obvious at the time. What once seemed confusing or challenging may later be understood as a necessary part of your growth. This perspective allows you to trust the process even when the immediate outcome is uncertain. Your ability to adapt is also strengthened through your experiences. Life does not always follow predictable patterns, and circumstances can change unexpectedly. Through repeated exposure to change, you learn how to adjust your approach, your mindset, and your expectations. This adaptability becomes an important skill that allows you to remain steady even when conditions shift. Rather than being overwhelmed by change, you begin to work with it, finding ways to move forward despite uncertainty. Each experience you go through contributes to a deeper sense of maturity. Maturity is not solely defined by age, but by how you process, understand, and respond to life events. As you accumulate experiences, you begin to develop a more balanced perspective, one that considers different angles and possibilities. This broader perspective helps you make more informed decisions and respond to situations with greater thoughtfulness. The process of becoming is ongoing, and it is influenced by everything you encounter along the way. Your current experiences are not separate from your future. They are actively shaping it. The way you interpret what is happening now will influence how you approach what comes next. By recognizing the value of your experiences, you begin to see them not as obstacles, but as essential components of your development. What you are going through right now is not wasted, and it is not without meaning. Every emotion you feel, every moment of discomfort you experience, and every uncertain step you take is contributing to a deeper process of growth within you. What may feel overwhelming in the present is quietly shaping your awareness, strengthening your resilience, and refining your understanding of yourself. You are not being broken down without purpose. You are being built up in ways that are not always visible on the surface. The signals within your emotions are guiding you toward clarity. The discomfort you feel is pushing you beyond old limitations, and the experiences you are living through are aligning you with a stronger, more aware version of yourself. Even when the path ahead feels unclear, there is value in continuing to move forward with trust and self-awareness. The lessons embedded in your current season are not meant to confuse you, but to develop you. As you learn to listen to your emotions, embrace discomfort, and recognize the significance of your journey, You begin to understand that nothing you are facing is meaningless. It is all part of a process that is shaping your mindset, your strength, and your future direction. With time, what once felt heavy will make sense. What once felt uncertain will bring clarity. And what once felt like a struggle will reveal itself as a necessary part of your transformation. You are becoming, even in the moments that feel self-spurred, till